Hello and welcome to Life Coaching Comedians. I'm your transformational life coach, Miss Charday. And I know I may look a little bit different. I went on sabbatical and I moved to the Pacific Northwest. And as you know, everything here is legal, so I am feeling groovy. I would say I've had such a transformation that your transformational life coach has been transformed to be the best transformational life coach you've ever seen. And I'm so excited to have a new client with me today. Please give it up for Christine. And is it Fekete? That's so
You
exotic. How
got
do you like?
it.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Fekete.
Fekete. It sounds aggressive yet sexy at the same time.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like something vulgar, but in Hungarian, right?
Are you Hungarian?
My husband is.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, let's get right to it. I was looking over your intake form, Christine, and it says that you married your ex-husband during COVID. So is this the same husband or is there
Yeah.
multiple ex-husbands? Okay.
There was just one. We were married for 17 years and then
Mm-hmm.
divorced for 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then he moved out to California from Tennessee
Mm-hmm.
and we remarried during COVID. Yeah. So my ex-husband was my boyfriend and we were shacking up together. And he
Mm-hmm.
has conservative Southern Baptist parents. And it was
Mm-hmm.
really fun to say that. So
Now, did you remarry because you were lonely during the quarantine lockdown?
actually, he was living with me
Mm.
during the lockdown. So I think it was one of those make or break situations, right? Like the
Oh.
lockdown was for a lot of couples. They were, locked down. And at first, when he said that he could be working from home for a year, my
Mhm.
initial reaction, I will tell you, was to burst into tears.
Oh.
I was used to some space and I had to compromise there, which I think is something you would be a proponent of, right?
Yeah. So let me ask you something because, I've have many clients that have, done those sorts of relationships where, the breakup, get back together, break up,
Mm.
get back together. I consider them very toxic. But in this situation, you got a whole divorce, 9 years, and then got back together. Uh, would you say that you both learned your lesson and decided to change and we're still madly in love together? Or would you say that maybe you made a mistake twice?
Oh, well, gosh, it's just been what, 13 months since we've been remarried. So I hope it's
Mm-hmm.
not a mistake twice. No, we had such an amicable divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you know what? He was 20 when we got married,
Oh.
and I was 23. And
Oh.
and we have a 20-year-old son. Our youngest is 20. And I can't imagine him being married. But and this is something we could talk about. We come from very conservative backgrounds. And
Mm-hmm.
so we didn't have sex with each other before we got
Oh.
married.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
hindsight, I think we just should have. What's the language? Um, do we cuss on this?
Oh, yeah, honey, you are welcome to, express yourself in any way you see fit.
All right, that's good. I know that's healthy, right? To
Yes, it's
have
very
more
healthy.
expression. So, in
Especially coming from a
hindsight,
conservative background, you gotta release that stress out. Can't
yeah,
keep it bottled
yes.
up all the time.
Oh, well, yeah, don't worry. That I went through my cougar years. So,
Oh, so
um,
that's what you did while you're divorced.
that was what I did part of the time. But what
Mm.
happened was, well, first of all, we have 8 children. We have 4 birth and 4 adopted children. And
Wow.
we didn't just adopt babies, we adopted older children. So
Mhm.
clearly my therapist at that time in my life failed me, right?
Mm,
No. Now
so sorry to hear.
there was a certain combination of antidepressants and Pinot Grigio that led me to believe I could save the world.
Mhm.
But no, we would do it again. It had some challenges, but no regrets, right? Is that what you
No
tell
regret.
people? Do you tell people to not have regrets?
I not necessarily in that phrase. I don't like to, use cheesy stuff, but I say look at every situation as an opportunity to learn, you know. There was this
Mhm.
famous quote I read one day where it says, no one is your friend nor your enemy, but everyone is your teacher. And it's the same with all of your experiences. It's either
Yeah.
a blessing or a lesson or both.
Well, I agree. Well, that time apart, we learned to just shed the whole codependency thing. We
Mhm,
didn't
mhm,
have any autonomy. It was, um, even to go back to the conservative thing, even in our faith, it was like, okay, same God, and it's got to look like this. And when we renewed our vows, we literally each said, okay, your God and my God, like whatever that looks like. It doesn't have to fit this box like it had
mhm.
before. So we've arrived at this great place of autonomy, the things that attracted me to him to begin with in the harder years that led up to the divorce were things that I resented him for, and now I've come to appreciate them again. I
Yeah,
tend to be
mhm.
very, as you can tell, a little just and I am a comedian, right? I'm a
Ah.
performer. Yeah, and he's a mellow guy. He's a mellow
Mm,
guy, and I
mhm,
used to um resent, like if I was had a performance at that time, I was singing more, I was in, and if I came off stage and he wasn't being interactive and working the room, I would resent him for that. But now,
mm.
I come off the stage at the Comedy Store and I am on, like just totally on. Sometimes I think I'm funnier talking to people after the
Oh,
show
yes.
than actually the show. But, one time I looked over and he's just sitting in the corner doing his own thing. And it didn't faze me at all. And it didn't bother him that I was doing my thing. We appreciate each other on another level. Now, in hindsight, if a judge would have just court mandated 6 months on a dating site instead of granting a divorce, we probably would have come to the same conclusion. But
Well,
we got there.
that would be, that'll probably help a lot of people. Court mandates on dating sites, Tinder and especially. Oh my God, that place is awful. It's
Isn't
so
it? Are you
awful.
on there? Are you on
Oh
there, Miss
no.
Charday?
No.
No?
I am a very busy woman with lots of lovers.
Oh,
Very happy.
well,
I live the
there you go.
polyamorous lifestyle. Yeah. Mhm.
Really?
I
How's
do.
that
I
working?
do.
How's that working for
It
you?
is wonderful. I don't like to tell my clients how old I am, but I'm getting up there. And I've been doing the polyamorous thing for quite some time. And I don't encourage it because it's not for everyone. But, I think it's important for single people to explore that on their journey because, you may realize that really it's really only one person that you want to be with.
Right. But you know what? I understand it. I really do. I think sometimes it takes a village,
It
as they
does take a
say,
village to satisfy
you
a
know.
goddess, I must say.
There you go.
Well, Christine, so you said that you're overwhelmed on your intake form, which leads to depression and anxiety. I mean, I already know that. I'm not sure why you put that there. But I mean, how have you been feeling lately? Have you been feeling overwhelmed with life? Is it the new marriage? Is it the 8 kids?
Um, it's so funny. When we remarried, people were like, "Oh, wow, it must be like a second honeymoon." And I said, "No, it's like Tuesday."
Mm,
It's just
mhm,
we've known each other for over 30 years. So it's just, and we were never not in each other's lives. With all those children,
mm.
we stayed partners, stayed parenting together, and he always had my back, was always there for me. You mentioned toxic relationship. Our dynamic was never toxic, but during our time apart, I got into a toxic relationship for, well,
Ooh.
together for 6 years. Well, that breakup, back together thing, the breakups were never long, um,
Yeah,
but
well, Kristen,
dramatic.
it's always the toxic one that says the relationship wasn't toxic, so
Really?
yes. I mean, in my field of expertise and in my years of helping people like you, and it's just an observation. I'm not saying that you're toxic, but I mean, earlier you were talking about how you used to be so angry that, your husband wanted to work the room, so to speak, after you got off on stage. And it seems like maybe at that point, I know you've changed, but maybe at that point in your life, you wanted your husband to be more like you. Would you say I'm right?
Oh yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, there's no question that um I projected onto him.
mm-hmm.
I think that's a really good observation. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that we think, right, that
Mm-hmm.
our way is the best way, the right way. Gosh, now, oh, I mean,
You're
I can't
seeing
even
things in a different
imagine.
light, right? And then
Yeah.
after your divorce, you're like, "Oh, it was just a mutual understanding, everything's fine, we parted ways, everything's all good, we're still friends." And then you attract a new person into your life who is the mirror of you and who is toxic. Tell me more about this toxic relationship that you had during your divorcee time.
Well, tell me what you think about this, because I heard one time somebody say, you know, broken people attract broken people,
Mhm.
right? What's your
Mhm.
take on that?
Well, everyone that comes into your life is a reflection of you in some way, shape, or form. Um, have you ever just seen someone or met someone, maybe a coworker or maybe a fellow comedian, and there's just something about them that bothered you so much? Usually it's a reflection of yourself,
Mm,
maybe not necessarily directly. It could be indirectly, or it could be something that you used to do that
mm.
bothers you. Everything is a reflection of you.
Yeah, I can see that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
can definitely see that. Yeah, in a lot of situations, you encounter people, and or I encounter people, and I think, oh, I don't know, so beautiful.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
She's so intelligent. She's so
Mhm.
funny. Oh,
Mhm.
okay,
And
no.
we do that too. I mean, we do that too. We gawk at other people and their brains, their beauty, their outgoingness, and everyone likes greatness, right? Everyone wants to be around greatness. Everyone wants to watch greatness. That's why there's celebrities and why people worship celebrities. But if everyone just kind of took a second to look
Mm,
within and find their own beauty, brains, and greatness, a little
yeah,
self
yeah.
worship, a little self praise.
Which I've come a long ways in doing,
Yeah.
the whole self-care cliche, right? I
Well, I
used to hear,
must say, you look absolutely fabulous. I remember when I saw
mm,
you about 3 years ago, and you look like a completely different person. You definitely found your greatness.
oh, thank you. Yeah, well, here's something I don't know if you knew, but I actually, um, maybe, gosh, 14 months ago, I quit drinking completely.
Oh, good for you.
And that was really transformative. You know what? That is one of the things that led to me wanting to remarry,
Mm,
because in my marriage, I got caught up in this the grass is greener syndrome, right? Or the problems that we were having. I did a lot of what I call like blame shifting,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
I was
mhm,
just putting, and he did have his shit. I mean, I'm not going to, own things that aren't mine. I mean, there are a lot of issues that he had, and we both, I think, used alcohol to just numb out a bit. And so we weren't really present to lean into the pain, as they say,
mhm,
and work
mhm,
through it. It was about avoidance and escapism. And the escapism in my mind transferred into, oh, another relationship, another person will make me happy. And I will tell you,
mhm.
obviously, there are abusive, toxic, dangerous relationships that people just need to get the hell out of, for everybody's sake. Ours really was not one of those. Um, we were just numb and tuned out because we were in survival mode. 8 kids is a lot.
Oh,
It is a
yes.
lot.
It's a
Yeah.
lot. And four of those were a choice, a real choice, you know. The other ones could have been a choice as well, but sometimes it's a whoopsie, you know.
Oh,
But
yeah. We were kind of like, well, let's just go with it. Seriously, at one time I thought I've got too many control issues to be on birth control. Let's just see how it goes. I would not necessarily recommend that.
oh
That's
yeah.
not that's not advice to anyone with control issues, but
Yeah,
just find a
absolutely.
good therapist or watch
So
here.
tell me more about your sobriety journey. I imagine you said it's been 14 months now.
You know what? April 26th in 2020.
Okay. Oh
So
wow.
Jennifer,
Okay.
yeah, so much for
Yeah.
more than that. But yeah, what happened is that I realized that some patterns were starting up again. I had not been a big drinker. I was really never a huge drinker. In the course of the toxic relationship, that increased. Um, I didn't want another failed relationship. I was embarrassed by some things that happened. I'm a big believer in redemption stories. I'm like, God, if we can push through this, then it'll be this
Mm-hmm.
happy ending. And I should have just booked. But instead, I um, discovered vodka cranberry,
Mm.
and I inadvertently discovered that mixing vodka and Xanax causes blackouts.
Mm. Yes,
Did,
it
did
does.
not did not know that, and that there's this thing called Ambien, and
Mm-hmm.
that I just
Mm-hmm.
started medicating my way through it. So I had stopped Xanax and Ambien for years, but
Mm-hmm.
then COVID came around, and there was a lot of political tension, and it, you know, I just had to call into my doctor and say, hey, it's stressful. Maybe I need some Xanax and Ambien, and they're like, sure. What's your pharmacy? Where do you want this to go? And I started drinking more. A glass of wine turned into a bottle of wine, and I didn't have anywhere to be the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
there was just time to kill. Um, and so I would start to take a Xanax or a Xanax and an Ambien, a Xanax, Ambien, and wine. And I think one night I took, the wine and maybe two Xanax and an Ambien. And I just thought, what am I doing? Because I have been happy. You've talked to comedians. We have our shit, but we
Oh
generally
yeah.
love what we do, you
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. And
and yeah.
those Ambiens and those Xanax, it's crazy. I had a client back a long time ago that got a DUI, not for drinking, but for taking an Ambien, and it was a prescribed. He wasn't abusing it. It was prescribed by his doctor for his anxiety that he was having at nighttime, insomnia. His very first day taking an Ambien, woke up with in his boxers, had driven into his neighbor's house.
Oh,
doesn't
wow.
remember a thing, and he still had to, he had to take, he got a DUI, he had to do his time, he had to do the classes and all of that simply for taking a medication his doctor prescribed to him.
And he was asleep in his bed. I mean, he wasn't out
No,
like on the
he
town and
took
popped an
it and he
Ambien. He went to
went to
bed.
bed. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's big pharma for you folks.
Yeah, it's too easy to get that stuff. And I was a year and a half into comedy. Actually, that's not true. I was just getting ready to do a 1 year anniversary show at the Comedy Store.
Oh, how
And it
fun.
was just a week before or 2 weeks before everything shut down because my last show was at Flappers. The next day, everything shut down.
Mhm, mhm,
Um,
mhm.
and there's a joke in there about bringing down the house or something, but I just let it go.
Oh, well.
Um, so I, yeah, 1 year anniversary, things were going great. I didn't start comedy till I was 50 and but had a lot of material to bring, just real
Mhm,
life
mhm.
stories. I remember did we meet in Portland? Is that
Yes, yes, it was
yes, we did.
Portland that we met. Yeah.
Yeah. And I came off stage and somebody said, "Oh, that was great, but none of that was real." Right? None of that was real. You don't really have 8 kids and you didn't really drive your car into a house and all that. And I said, "No, that was real. That was
Mhm.
that was all true." So sometimes you just gotta tell the truth and it's funnier than
Yeah, and there's someone out there that will find it relatable, believe it or not. Everyone's lives are different.
well, I've had women say to me, I've always wanted to do that, you know, drive my car into a house, some men too. And
Yeah.
but they're like, okay, because then it goes into material about being arrested and being in jail. And they're like,
Oh,
okay, so
yeah.
now I see that through. I see that
Yeah.
the picture through in your eyes and they can live vicariously, don't have to do it themselves.
They can live vicariously through Christine. Yes, they can.
Yeah,
She's had such a
sorry.
wild life. No, don't even apologize. You are absolutely fabulous. So, have you been feeling overwhelmed lately? You seem pretty level-headed.
Do I seem that way?
Yeah,
I'm
you
also an
definitely seem.
actor.
Oh, okay.
I'm also an actor.
Okay.
Um, and I'm a little on right now, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Camera.
mhm.
It's
Oh.
so funny. I'll do these online AA meetings and I'm very sincere, very real. That's what those meetings are for, but it's also
Mhm.
a camera. And so it's hard not to, I mean, a lot of the work I've done in the past is TV work and what, so I'm used to like the camera and they're like, Chris, you're supposed to share like not necessarily like you're doing a talk show, just
Yes,
just
yes.
share from the heart. Um, was there a question in there? I just
Well, I was asking if you've been feeling overwhelmed lately.
ah um I'll tell you what, the youngest, I mentioned this earlier, is 20 and
Mhm.
he lives with Doug and I and he starts New York Film Academy in
Oh,
January,
wow.
which we're
Wow.
excited about. So now I'm entering this stage of no child is dependent
Mhm.
on me.
Mhm.
And I have all these things I want to do and opportunities presenting themselves that kind of, though, go in different directions. It's
Oh, don't tell
entertainment
me you're
and it's
thinking about getting
creative.
another divorce, Christine.
No,
Oh,
no,
okay,
he's so
okay,
supportive. He's
okay.
so supportive. Oh, my cat. Can you hear my cat?
I love pussies. Let me see your pussy.
I went through that phase too.
Oh, you
So,
did. Okay.
okay. Come here, cat. Hold on.
Oh my goodness, look
Look.
at that. Oh, fluffy, fluffy pussy. How
Oh, really?
adorable.
Okay,
Is
how
that like a what are they called? Persian? Per
I don't know, but that face just cracks me
Oh,
up.
so adorable.
That cracks me up. So I am a little overwhelmed because there are choices to be made. And all of a
Mhm,
sudden
mhm,
there's time. But here's where I could use your input. I'm almost self-sabotaging in a way by
mm,
distracting myself by still caring for other people,
mhm,
because for so many years it was the mom thing, right? The caregiver
mhm,
thing. And in the last few years, I've learned a lot about self-care, but I have some time now. Not really. I should be writing. Like there's things I should. I don't like the word should. There's things I
Shoulda,
have the
woulda, coulda.
yeah.
There are things you need
Yeah.
to consider, your priorities. You need to reprioritize your life.
Yeah, and I'm starting to realize that I have filled the kids space with other people that have needs and care, and I
Mhm,
need to rein that in and focus on me.
mhm,
Because the other thing that crosses my mind, and you mentioned not talking about your age, but like I'm 53, and there, you know, I'm in the second half of this game, a little further than
mhm.
that. I mean, my grandfather lived to be 103, but
Oh, wow.
so I don't know if I probably won't make it to 106, but
Never
so
say
there's,
never.
yeah, there's an awareness of time,
Mhm.
and I want to make the most of what I have.
Do it, honey. Stop talking about
Yes,
it and do it, you know? You
I
have all
know.
these amazing opportunities, prioritize them from the ones that you feel you should act on now to ones that can maybe wait by the wayside and tell everyone else to fuck off. I mean, come on. These are
All
grown-ups. They
right.
can take care of themselves.
So just
Fuck
give
them
me a
off with love.
prescription.
Just, I'm gonna give you a prescription of fuck off with a whole dose of love.
That's what I need. That would be very, very helpful. That would be very helpful. But
Yeah,
definitely one of the priorities was getting Doug, my husband's name is Doug,
Mhm.
back because he makes me better. He does. He balances
Oh, that's
me,
so cute. Doug
keeps me
has a patty
better.
mayonnaise.
A what?
A patty mayonnaise. You look like a grown-up patty mayonnaise.
I don't know what that is.
You've never seen the cartoon Doug? It was only a 90s iconic cartoon on Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I
Yes.
didn't know the
Patty
counterpart that you
mayonnaise
mentioned.
Was a hot blonde that he was just heart-throbbing over
Really?
all the time. Yes.
Well, yeah, he does. Well, no,
Yeah.
that's good. We're at
Yeah.
a good place.
Well,
Because we
that's
know
good.
ourselves now. We know
Yeah.
ourselves. And
Mhm. Mhm.
this whole "you complete me" thing, what the
Mhm.
hell is that? That's just two ticks sucking the life out of each other, right?
Oh,
Two
yeah,
ticks, but no
absolutely.
dog, just sucking
Yeah.
the life out of each other.
Yeah.
And
You
so,
compliment me. You compliment me is what it should they chose the
hmm,
wrong C word, you know? It's a compliment, not complete. Just a couple
yeah.
letters off.
So is that how it works in a polyamorous? Like you just all compliment each other?
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's, everyone has, their purpose, you know? I know I serve my purposes in life.
You do? I want to know
Yeah.
what your purposes are in that
Oh,
relationship.
right. Well, my relationships, most of my lovers are previous clients. Uh, of course, after they finish
Oh,
their
really?
therapy, but yeah. Yeah.
Can I call?
So, yeah, yeah. I mean, they're not all males. uh, but they come and go as they please. And I have one particular that's been in my life for a very long time, and that's my number one. So life
There
is
you
good,
go.
Christine. Life is good.
Good. Good. Well,
Yeah.
you look great too.
Well, thank you, darling. Well, thank you. So, if people want to check you out, what is your social media?
It's all under my name, just Christine Fekete. My Instagram, Christine Fekete. My Facebook, which is public, is Christine Knapp Fekete. But if you put in Christine Fekete, there's only so many of us, right?
Oh, of course,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, that's it. I gave up the Twitter thing. I think I still have an account, but ugh, that was
You
just
know,
exhausting.
I'm upset that I gave up my Twitter. I was an original Twitter user when it first came out back in
Really?
2009. And
Oh,
I actually had it as just my first name. And I deleted it and now some other lady has it. But
oh,
I would say as a comedian, as a writer, Twitter is a weird hallway where you just throw down a spit wad and you see if it sticks. And, it's a good place to it's a I call it a poor man's copyright, It's a good way to copyright
yeah.
your material.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I feel about YouTube and Instagram as well. And the thing that I
Mhm.
loved about Twitter is that I would follow my favorite comedians, right? And I would get the notification instantly. And you catch on pretty quick who does their own Twitter and who has, writers who do whatever. But most of the
Mhm.
comedians do their own. And so they would throw out something funny, and I would try to get right back, with something funny or clever. And
Oh,
the whole
yeah.
goal was just to get them to like it. If they
Mhm.
did the
Mhm.
little check mark, or whatever they
It's
do,
fun.
the
It's fun. I
thumbs
don't think
up,
you should give
whatever.
up on Twitter. I don't think you should give up on Twitter. Just, every once in a while you might have tweeters block, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, there was a couple times Twitter blocked me. So
Oh, oh,
I
well.
was like,
Must
okay,
have
you
been
can't
naughty on
call.
there.
I
Was
was like,
that
you
during your
can't.
cougar phase, Christine?
Well, it involved me calling the former first lady a C word. I'm like,
Oh,
oh, you can't do that.
you were
Have you
complimenting
seen
her?
his? Oh, no,
Oh.
no. The former, the
Mm,
former,
mm,
you know?
mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well,
whatever.
Christine, it has been an absolute pleasure, and you're welcome to come back anytime you're feeling
Thank
overwhelmed.
you.
Don't get an Ambien,
I
don't get a
know.
Xanax, just get a little bit of life coach and comedians in your life. And for all of you out there, if you'd like to get in touch with Christine, hit her up and make sure you subscribe and hit the bell and be enlightened with me and all of my amazing
Oh, I
clients.
do. Forgive me for interrupting. I do have a special on YouTube that went
Oh,
from the hometown show. It's called What the Fekete. So What the Fekete.
oh, what the
So, but the,
feckity.
but the YouTube channel is just under my name, Christine Fekete.
Okay.
Sorry to
Well,
interrupt,
we'll
but
go ahead. We'll put a link in the description. Christine send that
thank
to me. We'll put
you.
a link in the subscription. You can check out her comedy special. That's awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Make sure that you practice your yoga daily, drink lots of water, and don't forget to do your breathing exercises whenever you're feeling a little anxious. Okay, alrighty. Namaste.